The 34th regular meeting, November 29, 2022 of the Medford City Council is called to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Present.
Councilor Caraviello.
Present.
Councilor Collins.
Present.
Councilor Knight.
Present.
Councilor Scarpelli.
Present.
Councilor Singh.
Present.
President Morrell.
Present, 7 present, 0 absent. Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Announcements, accolades, remembrances, reports, and records. Be it so resolved that the Medford City Council send its deepest and sincere condolences to the family of Edward Buddy Clayton on his recent passing at 94 years old. Buddy was a veteran of the U.S. Army and retired from the United States Postal Service as a district manager. His presence in our community will be dearly missed. Councilor Caraviello. You're muted.
Thank you, Madam President. Our community lost a giant in the West Medford area with Buddy Clayton. He was a man that was tall in stature and an icon in the West Medford community. He was at every event at the West Medford Community Center and everything that went on there, and a longtime Medford resident. And as Councilor Scarpelli mentions, this is another big pair of shoes that we're going to have a hard time filling going forward in this community. So my condolences to Buddy and his family on his recent passing.
Thank you, Councilor Caraviello. Councilor Scarpelli.
Thank you, Madam President. And I know that Councilor Caraviello has said it all, but I know that the what Buddy Clayton did, what he's done for our community, and the way he's raised his children to give back to our community and his grandchildren is something that is a great example for all of us to follow. He was a true gentleman. I don't think I've ever recalled Mr. Clayton ever having a sour puss on his face or an angry look. He was always smiling, always pleasant. And if you look at his children, they have the same demeanor. So he was a great man. He leaves an unbelievable legacy, and he's truly going to be missed. And again, especially in the West Medford neighborhood. So our condolences to his family, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. Any further discussion from the council? I'm still moving folks around so I can see everyone on my screen.
Move approval.
On the motion of Councilor Knight, seconded by
Madam
Councilor
President,
Caraviello. Yes.
if we could name this meeting in memory of Buddy Clayton. So moved.
So on the motion of Councilor Caraviello, as seconded by Councilor Knight, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
No, it's for both for you and T. You know, it's not per person.
You're muted.
Togetherness. Right?
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Councilor Caraviello.
Yes.
All right.
Councilor Collins.
All right, honey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Knight.
Yes.
Councilor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Councilor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes. Please rise for Councilor Scarpelli.
Madam President, can we just let Councilor Caraviello know that I know he's got this hip as his AirPods in, but we can hear Carol's conversations, Ricky, just so you know. Tell her I said hi. And I love that recipe.
Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. Please rise for a brief moment of silence. Moving to 2.2, be it so resolved that the Councilor Caraviello.
Meredith. She bought me this. And she had
President
Yeah,
Morrell, your audio appears to be frozen.
Connection
Your last
issues.
speech was garbled.
Apologies. One moment. Apologies. Vice President Bear.
Looks like we lost President Morrell there. I will do my best to facilitate.
Apologies. Vice President Bears. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm down with the flu, but I'll do my best. 22-577 offered by Councilor Carviallo. Be it so resolved that the Medford City Council commend and congratulate Margaret Maggie Giordano on the celebration of her 100th birthday. Councilor Carviallo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Those of you who don't know Maggie, Maggie's the mother of one of our favorite retired policemen, Paul Giordano. And they just wanted to commend her for her celebration of her 100th birthday, which is coming up this Sunday. So just a little bit of a congratulations to her. And I hope I get to live to be 100 years old.
Thank you, Councilor Carviallo. Any other, Councilor Knight?
Mr. President, thank you very much. Although I don't know Mrs. Giordano personally, I do know her son, Paul. He's a gentleman and a scholar. He was a great police officer here in the city of Medford, but more importantly, he's a great person. If he's anything of a reflection of his mother, then God willing, she must be a great person as well. I thank Councilor Carviallo for bringing this matter up. He seems always to be very well in tune and plugged in with the neighborhoods in this community, and this is just a perfect example of that. I move approval.
On the motion of Councilor Knight, seconded by Councilor Carviallo. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councilor Scarpelli.
No, all set. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Sorry, I called you first. I know you're presiding. Councilor Carviallo.
Yes.
Councilor Collins.
Yes.
Councilor Knight.
Yes.
Councilor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Councilor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes. And I can take back over the chair. So
Great.
that's 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The motion passes. And I am hardwired in now, so we should be solid. Records. The records of the meeting of November 15th, 2022 were passed to Councilor Scarpelli. Councilor Scarpelli, how did you find them?
I found them all in order, Madam President. Move approval.
Second.
On the motion of Councilor Scarpelli, seconded by Councilor Knight. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Quick second, please. Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Councilor Carviallo.
Yes.
Councilor Collins.
Yes.
Councilor Knight.
Yes.
Councilor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Councilor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes. Reports of committees 22-014 and 22-395. November 16th, Committee of the Report, Committee of the Whole report to follow. This was the Committee of the Whole on the discussions around PFML being applied to the city, as well as ARPA survey results.
Approval.
On the motion of Councilor Knight to approve,
Second.
as seconded by Councilor Singh. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Councilor Carviallo.
Yes.
Councilor Collins.
Yes.
Councilor Knight.
Yes.
Councilor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Councilor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The motion passes. 21-053, November 22nd, 2022, Subcommittee on Housing report to follow. I will hand it to Housing Subcommittee Chair, Councilor Collins.
Thank you, President Morrell. The Housing Subcommittee met again to discuss the proposed housing stability notification ordinance. We had a robust discussion with relevant city staff regarding enforcement and implementation, and we referred it to Committee of the Whole to continue the discussion with other councilors.
Thank you, Councilor Collins. On the motion of Vice President Bears to approve, seconded by
Second.
Councilor Scarpelli. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Councilor Carviallo.
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Singh,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes.
Madam President, motion to suspend the rules to take paper 22-582.
On the motion of Vice President Bears to suspend the rules to take paper 22-582, a petition for a common vit license. Motion from Vice President Bears. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Seconded by Counselor Knight. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears, Yes. Counselor Caraviallo,
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Singh,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The motion passes. The rules are suspended to take paper 22-582 under petitions, presentations, and similar papers. 22-582, petition for a common vittler license by Inio Duca, 8 Benton Street, Apartment 1, Stoneham, Massachusetts, 02180 for Eddie's Place, 301 Salem Street, Medford, Massachusetts. I do believe we have the petitioner here. If we would like to hear from him first, and then we can go to Councilor Scarpelli, Chair of Licensing, unless we'd like to start with you, Councilor Scarpelli.
I mean, it seems like it's pretty simple, Madam President. Can the petition just let us know what this process is? Is it leaving ownership? Is it just staying within the ownership of different people within the system, or?
So, hi, how are you? So
Sure.
for now, it's just the change of the ownership. So I have been working over there for 3 years, and now we are changing just the ownership. So I'm going to be the new owner. It's going to be the same stuff, the same menu and everything.
All right, the hours are the same, and
Yeah, hours are the same. It's 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's 5
Yeah.
employers, including
Same
me.
employees? Same employees, everything's looks like the same. Well, I'd be honest with you, Madam President. Eddie's Place has been, I've never heard a complaint. I know that I'm a little biased. My daughter's favorite. So she,
They have the grilled chicken salad.
yeah, all the order is in, all the, everything is in order. I would move approval with any questions from my fellow councils.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. Any questions or discussion from the council? Seeing none. On the motion of Councilor Scarpelli to approve, seconded by Councilor Knight, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears, Yes. Counselor Caraviallo,
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Singh,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Good luck.
We're still under suspension. Do I have a motion to return to the regular order of business?
To avoid another roll call, I just moved to suspend for that one paper, so I would say that we are back to the regular order.
I'm fine with that assessment. So going back to regular order of business. We are at hearings 22-573, legal notice of a public hearing, City of Medford. The Medford City Council will hold a public hearing via Zoom on Tuesday, November 29th, 2022 at 7 p.m. A link to the hearing will be posted no later than Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. This hearing was originally scheduled for November 22nd, 2022, but rescheduled to November 29th, 2022, when the November 22nd meeting was postponed and rescheduled in its entirety. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the Board of Assessors on the following items for the purpose of allocation of the FY 2023 property tax. To determine the residential factor to be used for
Motion to waive
FY
the
20.
reading and have a brief synopsis by the interim chief assessor, please, Madam President.
On the motion of Councilor Knight to waive the reading,
Second.
in favor of a brief synopsis from the interim assessor, seconded by Councilor Scarpelli. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Yeah.
Counselor Caraviallo,
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Singh,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes. The waiving is waived. Passing it over to Ellen Bordeaux, who is our interim chief assessor, for a brief synopsis of the public hearing paper before us. I'm asking you to unmute.
Here we go. Beautiful. Good evening, Council President Morel, and thank you for allowing, and I'm thrilled that this is via Zoom. Certainly made it a little easier for me. So instead of me going through this whole presentation, you're just requesting that I do an overview of where we are and what needs to occur this evening?
Yes.
Okay. So annually, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you need to share your screen, Ellen?
I'm happy to do that if you can go ahead and make me a co-host.
Mr. Clerk, if you could do that.
Absolutely. All set.
Okay. There we go. Is that all up and above? Everybody can see that?
Yes.
Okay. So as we know, this is an annual event that the city council is to adopt the city's tax policy by allocating the tax levy or classifying it among the property types. So this is something that's done every year. Medford has historically shifted the tax rate from a single tax rate to a shift of the 175%, which allows the shift of the levy from the residential class to the commercial, industrial, and personal property class. Also, annually, you vote on the residential exemption and the small commercial exemption, both of which have historically not been done for the city of Medford. And so, here we are, we're looking at fiscal 23. The Board of Assessors received certification of our new values that we used sales from calendar year 2021 to set the assessments, and those were approved by the Department of Revenue on November 22nd. So the slide just does the brief overview. Statistically, we meet the standards. We're blessed to have a lot of sales in Medford, and so for this calendar year, we had I think it was over 798 arm's length transactions that allowed us to build the new model and set value. Our average assessments have increased. Everybody knows what the market's done, and it continued to be strong all the way through calendar year 2021. We're still seeing, we saw that through most of 2022. Never been a good fortune teller, so I don't know what the future is going to bring for those, but we certainly are in a good position for property owners in the city of Medford having their property hold value. In addition, you can see that compared to the surrounding communities, we are also very strong in our values historically. This is not the first year where our average assessments increased more than what the other communities did. So single family, we're at an increase of 9.79. Other communities, not quite, but when you look at that comparison, you also know a single family home in Cambridge is certainly much higher than a single family home in Medford. So Medford, desirable place to raise your family. Your home values are stable, and that's a good story. We also have and are enjoying a really nice year two of strong growth. Coming out of COVID, we were worried, and that has continued to be a good story with 2.2 million in tax levy growth. That levy growth is based on fiscal 22 tax rates. And these slides just show, just breaks this down a little bit better for you where those numbers come from. Personal property continues to shock me every time that it's going to grow the way it is. And we're seeing this year, stronger commercial growth than it has been historically. So that's a nice trend for Medford. That commercial growth, point out like five number 1 Cabot with lab space, 87 Medford Street with its mixed use, all those things, and then again those personal property accounts bringing in growth. we are still a bedroom community. Residential, 89% of the total value of the city is in residential versus those commercial, industrial, and personal property values. And again, this is just another slide that shows the historical. Nice trend to see. You know, it's been we need to start creeping back up. So this year, you know, commercial percentage of levy has gone up a tick from where it was last year in comparison to residential. If we had a single tax rate, it would have been 946. I see a typo as I look at that. So it's 946 at a single rate. Again, Medford has historically a mixed split rate with 8.65 in residential and 1656 on the commercial, industrial, and personal property. Again, estimates, they'll change by pennies potentially when the state is done looking at our tax recaps. So again, if we follow historical trends, you're going to be voting to use the minimum residential factor of the 91.426. That will give us that split tax rate. And this is just another breakdown, so I'm going to keep going. And this one I can't see as well because my screen is blocked, but this just tells you the average single tax rate and what that does in comparison to the split rate versus a single rate. So average values increased. Our average tax bills potentially for a single family home will go up about $300 this year. Again, that's on an average. And we talk every year about the residential exemption. At this point in time, as I've indicated before, it's too late in the year for the city council to vote on that. I would suggest, again, like you did last year, hopefully, you know, we'll visit it again and see what those numbers look like with fiscal 23 calculations to give you a benchmark for fiscal 24. And then as we talk about every year, the small commercial exemption, really it benefits the property owner, not those small businesses. And historically, this council has chosen not to entertain that exemption. So the summary is that the vote will split the tax rate for the, again, favoring the residential property. And then you vote whether or not to adopt the residential exemption and whether or not to vote on the small commercial exemption. And that's my PowerPoint in a nutshell there. There we go. So I'm going to try to stop sharing my screen and entertain any questions. I hope I didn't go too fast.
Thank you, Ellen. Going to Vice President Bears.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Ellen. Thanks for the presentation. Just wanted to kind of have two quick lines of questioning here. But first, I just want to also remind everybody that we had a meeting over the summer where we did go really into depth on a lot of property tax exemptions, the residential exemption with Assessor Bordeaux. So I'm not going to ask the questions that I asked at that meeting again, but that's a good meeting recording to refer back to for folks where we did dive into that in a little more detail. Just two things, Ellen. One on the average growth rate of assessments versus average growth rate of the average tax bill. I noticed that average assessments are going up significantly faster than the average tax bill itself. And I just wanted to confirm with you that's attributable to Proposition 2.5, correct?
Correct. I mean, yeah, because the values, obviously everyone's values are going to be what the market dictates, but the tax levy is constrained by Prop 2.5. And this council and the administration for the city of Medford have always been very conservative in taking care of not to overspend. So that's the reflection of that. Your property values are going up, but your tax bill is not going up proportionately. Great.
And along those lines, I just wanted to also to make a point of note for folks that because of that, the tax rate is going down again, right? I just want to confirm we're dropping from 9.1 0.18 per thousand to 8.65 for residential. Is that correct?
I thought it was 901, but you could be.
No, 901 sounds right. My apologies.
901, right? Yes, you are. So, again, a great story to come down. It's that I sleep better at night, high property value, low tax rate. So I hope everybody in Medford's going to sleep better knowing that too.
Thanks, Ellen. And then just finally, so what we're adding here is we're adding the 2.5% minimum plus that 2.2 million in new growth, and that's what's being added to the levy.
That's correct. And we're not, as your finance director, Mr. Dickinson has done a very good job of making sure that we're not right up to that levy ceiling. We're not raising absolutely every penny. It's absolutely where it should be for rounding and everything. That's the number you end up with.
Great. Thank you very much, Ellen.
Thank you, Vice President Bears. Going to Councilor Scarpelli, I believe saw a hand up. Here we go.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, I think that, Madam President, Ellen, I know that Ellen has just always explained where people have asked for that, the exemption for residential and how that impacts our community if we went that way. I think that you always had a statement that really just summarized it and really helped people understand why it's not really a good fit right now. So can you just elaborate on that?
Certainly, Councilor. For Medford, you are a bedroom community and you have, a large percentage of your homes over what they consider that break-even point. So people below the break-even point might get a break, but the people above the break-even point would see a significant increase in their tax bill depending on where they are. And I always go back to the analogy of it. It's all it does is shift within your residential. So you're hurting your people with your same class of property. It doesn't raise an extra dime on commercial. It goes within the residential class. The other thing it does, and Medford wants to have affordable housing. And affordable housing is through those landlords that own multifamilies and own apartment buildings. If you do a residential exemption, those apartment buildings and your multifamilies are going to see an increase in taxation that they're going to pass on to the renter. That's truly that's in a nutshell, a quick why it doesn't really work for Medford. It works great in vacation communities or in communities like our neighbors that are very much, they don't mind passing it all on to the renters. And that's what they do in Cambridge and in Boston. It's, they're want to ship that over to those groups.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear, Ellen. I'm sure that that's a brief understanding. So thank you again for all your hard work. And we so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. Any further discussion from the council? And I do just want to note this is the public hearing on this paper, so I'm just going to officially open the public hearing. Seeing no additional questions from the council at this time, are there any members of the public who would like to speak? Please raise your hand. On this paper specifically. Anyone who would like to speak on the public hearing on the tax paper for us? Okay. Seeing none, do I have a motion on the table? Or I can close this portion of the public hearing, and then do I have a motion from a councilor? So actually, sorry, we have to go through, I apologize. We have to go through each question. Is that something, councilors, is something we want to vote on tonight? Would we like to carry it over to a future meeting? Councilor Collins.
President Merle, I'd motion to table so that we can take this up in person at a subsequent meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Collins.
Second the motion. I think it's a wise choice.
Yeah, I think it'd be valuable for people to be able to come in next week if they have any ideas.
Thank you, councilors. And then just seeing Alan Bordeaux, I saw you had your hand up, and I also just want to confirm that timing would be okay if this were to be voted on next week as far as the time we need to vote on this by.
So I'm concerned about the timing, because it does still have to be approved. I mean, certainly you're earlier in the year, but I am not available next Tuesday night. I apologize. And then pushing it further out, but I have my, I'm already have a commitment. So I just want to let you know that. So, I mean, and my only, this vote tonight, really, you're really looking at the whether or not you're going to split a tax rate. And I don't know if that was, so it's not like they would be doing any changes to the tax rate or anything else unless you didn't split the tax rate. So timing wise, if the city doesn't have the other thing is, and I feel like I put you in this position, but I'm going to take a little bit of it, is that if we don't have the tax rate set and completed, then we jeopardize getting those tax bills out on time. So for any delay in this tight time frame that we're in, it's going to push me against the wall to get the final files over to the collector for her to get that data out and get it to the billing company in time. So,
Point of information, Madam President.
Thank you. Point of information, Councilor Knight.
Ellen, it's my understanding you're working in a part-time capacity here in this community, right? And that you've moved on, you've left Medford, and you're working in another neighboring community at this point in time as well.
that's correct. I'm a full-time employee for another city, and
So you haven't put us in any position. I don't want you to feel like you have, because you haven't.
well,
Okay, it's through no doing of your own. If it weren't for you being here this evening, we probably wouldn't even have this paper before us.
Wow.
Okay, so thank you for being willing. All right, being willing to continue to carry the torch. All right, we've had a revolving door personnel issues that have been going on in City Hall. You've seen it, and ultimately, you know what I mean. If you weren't good enough to come forward and to be here and to be willing to do this, you and Ted, I don't know where we'd be. All right, I really don't know where we'd be. So thank you for being willing to do that. I, as one member of this body, am comfortable doing what we always do. It hasn't hurt us in the past. I'm just more comfortable taking a tax vote in person. I understand, what we're doing here tonight. We've done it. I've done it 10 times before, and I'd be happy to do it 10 times again. So, with that being said, even if we table it this evening and bring it back up next week, I, as one member of the council, wouldn't have any questions for you. I think you did a good job with the presentation, and it's really pro forma at this point. We do this setting of the tax rate every year, and the setting of this tax rate really supports the budget that had just been passed. So all we're doing is really funding the measures that we're setting the tax rate to fund the measures that we've approved. So I think that 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But in terms of the job you've done here and the position that you think you put us in, you haven't put us in any position at all. And I wish you the best in pursuing better opportunities for yourself and your family.
well, thank you, Counselor. I truly, went to this position to complete. I loved working for the city of Medford. I liked working with this council and this administration. It was personal choice for me. But there is such a shortage. It's not just assessing. I mean, the role I took in my new community was without their assessor for over a year. So it's universally, there's just not enough. And as you know, I teach assessing courses. I'm bringing up a new group, and boy, do I go to work in Medford because it's a great place, but we haven't gotten anybody yet. We're working. I'm definitely promoting you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Councilor
Once
Knight.
again, thank you for coming to the rescue once again.
Thank you, Councilor Knight. And to Councilor Knight's point, I guess if councilors have questions in the meantime, if we could just collect them before next Tuesday's meeting, I too would feel, as Councilor Knight said, a lot of this is pro forma, but I think I would feel more comfortable just having that in-person opportunity for folks to come out and speak. Extenuating circumstances that we're on Zoom tonight. So I just want to, have that opportunity for folks to come out and speak. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Ellen.
Thank you. Okay.
So on the motion of Councilor Collins to table as seconded by Councilor Knight, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
I
Madam
just want to
President,
Vice President Bears.
could we table for 1 week so it appears on the regular agenda next week?
Absolutely.
That was
So,
the question I was asking, whether it was tabled to December 6th, though.
Yes. So motion of Councilor Collins as amended by Vice President Bears, seconded by Councilor Knight.
Okay, roll call to table till December 6th. Vice President Bears,
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo,
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Singh,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. The paper is tabled for 1 week. Motions, orders, and resolutions offered by Counselor 22-578, offered by Counselor Carviallo. Be it so resolved that the Medford City Council have our DPW Director and City Engineer appear before the council and discuss the substandard paving of Winthrop Street by Eversource. Going to Counselor Carviallo.
Thank you, Madam President. For those of you who haven't had the opportunity to drive down Winter Street and see the paving, it's not very good. Winter Street is a major street, and it's been disrupted for the last 5-6 years that I can remember. And this is our one crack to get this street paved right. And if you go by now, you see the seams are coming apart. You see patchwork in front of the high school. This is not the job that I'm looking for this major road. We're going to be lucky if this road gets 2 winters before we're paving it out of our own pocket. Eversource needs to do a much better job than they're doing. Go drive a half a mile down the street to Winchester and look at their paving. There's not a seam in the road, and it's smooth. Shame on us for not holding Eversource and McCord, whoever McCord hired to do this, to hold it up to a better standard. And I've heard from many residents about this. This isn't my opinion; it's other people's opinions too. And I've talked to people that paved to look at it, and they've given me the same thing, that it's substandard work by McCourt.
Thank you, Counselor Carviallo. And I do just want to know, Commissioner McGivern, I don't believe is on the call. I do know that he did reach out to you. That was noted to me, so I just want to note that. Going to Counselor Scarpelli.
Thank you, Madam President. Counselor Carviallo, thank you so much, because I had some phone calls. The phone calls I got were very evident when I went out and witnessed it myself. One thing the neighbors in that area wanted me to focus on were the saw covers and how they are already dipping in those areas around every saw cover, either in the middle of the street or the side. So, and Counselor Carviallo is correct. I took that ride specifically because I brought this issue up and how they treated Medford in comparison to Winchester, where they left the roads impeccable when they left every evening. They moved all the apparatus into the T parking lot. There was nothing on the streets. And like Counselor Carviallo said, took that ride. As soon as you enter into Winchester, you don't see seams. You don't see the manholes that are below level that are already causing a divot. So I appreciate you bringing this forward, and I think I'd like to know what the DPW director shared with Counselor Carviallo, because I had questions for him. I'm glad he called Ricky, but this is an important issue. I know that we've already talked. That city engineers already talked about people that are pulling permits and going curb to curb on residential questions. So now, if we're going to hold residential pavers accountable, where do we stand right now with the big three? Eversource, National Grid, and our city paving. So, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Scarpelli. Any further discussion from the council on this?
Madam President?
Counselor Carviallo.
I thought in this project, we were supposed to have somebody paid for by Eversource that was supposed to be overseeing this project.
Yeah.
Am I not correct in saying that?
I believe so.
Well, where is the person who's supposed to be overseeing this?
Mhm.
That was paid for by Eversource, is that they just non-existent?
Well, Madam President, if I can, point of information.
Counselor Scarpelli.
I suggest we contact people that came out for us in the summer and ask for their presence at our next meeting for next Tuesday. Thank you. I make that as a form of motion if we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Scarpelli.
I'll second that.
All right. So, any further discussion from the council?
Madam President.
Vice President Bears.
Yeah, I would just add to that. Maybe we could, if Counselor Scarpelli is amenable, amend the motion to table this paper for 1 week and invite representatives of Eversource and the DPW to attend our next meeting.
I would have, I'd concede to that. That'd be great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Vice President Bears.
And the city engineer?
Yes.
So on the motion of Counselor Scarpelli, as amended by Vice President Bears, to table this paper for 1 week, invite the representatives from Eversource as well as the city engineer to provide us an update on this work. Seconded by Counselor Carviallo. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears,
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo,
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Singh,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. 22-579, offered by Counselor Carviallo. Be it so resolved that the heating issues at the Medford Senior Center be addressed. Please ask a representative from the building department to attend. Counselor Carviallo.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, Madam President, I've been over to the senior center the past couple of months, and they're walking around with space heaters there to keep the place warm. I did get a response from the new commissioner, but it shows that it says that stuff is still not available, still waiting for parts, and they're going to wait for another estimate from another company. Again, that we're in next 2 days. It's going to be December, and they say they say people are walking around with space heaters there. It's not fair to those people that they have to be doing that. So I don't know if anybody from the building department is here tonight to speak on this. I don't unless you see someone. I don't see anybody, Madam President.
I do not. I do have the email that was sent to the council today or earlier this week, stating that they did find a temporary solution out beyond the space heaters. I'm happy to share that with anyone who'd like to see it. I'm just trying to pull it up now, but I do not see anyone from the building department. I think we're also just being in competition with that ZBA meeting that's going on concurrently. We are having some trouble getting some department heads here tonight because of that.
Yeah. Well, again, I say this isn't something that just happened last week. This has been going on for a while, and it should have been addressed some time ago. So,
thank you, Councilor Carviallo.
Thank you.
And any further discussion from the council?
Move the question.
On the motion of Councilor Carviallo, seconded by Councilor Knight. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears,
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo.
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Singh,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. 22-580, offered by Councilor Carviallo. Be it resolved that the Medford City Council have the Board of Health look into using the latest technology in rat control being used by other cities in the area, Smart Pest Control. Please invite Marianne O'Connor to Zoom into the meeting for her input. Councilor Carviallo.
Thank you, Madam President. And I did receive a response from Marianne on this too. And it's just something, I had seen what other cities were doing, and I just wanted to make sure that we're using the most up-to-date technology for pest control, because as I think we're all getting the same calls about rats throughout the community. So I just want to make sure that everyone is, the city is up to date, and we're using the best possible methods to keep the rodents out.
Thank you, Councilor Carviallo. And yes, to your point, we did get a communication from Marianne O'Connor earlier today, noting that she, along with the Board of Health, are investigating a number of options and meeting with companies for the best available in rodent control in the city. Again, that's information I'm happy to share if folks would like to see that. So thank you, Councilor Carviallo, for bringing this up, as this is an ongoing issue that Medford residents are battling with, a lot of folks are battling with in the area. Any further discussion from the council?
Move approval.
On the motion of Councilor Carviallo, seconded by Councilor Knight. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears,
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo,
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Sang,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. 22-581, offered by President Morrell and Vice President Bears. Be it so resolved by the Medford City Council that the rules of the Medford City Council be amended to include a fee schedule for the Plan Development District proposals pursuant to Medford City Ordinances Article 94, Section 9.2.5.1. Be it further resolved that the council discuss the potential PDD fee schedule structure. Vice President Bears.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you for co-sponsoring this resolution with me. Essentially, this is just that we should set a fee schedule for Plan Development District proposals as outlined in the new zoning ordinance that we passed earlier this year. In our packets, there was an attachment from Victor Schrader, our Economic Development Director, who's done some review of some similar fee structures in neighboring communities. I would motion that we refer this to committee of the whole so we can have a more in-depth discussion with the relevant city staff.
I would second.
Thank you, Vice President Bears. So we have the motion by President Bears, seconded by Councilor Scarpelli. And I do just want to add that I am working on scheduling for middle of December, a meeting to go over some outstanding questions from the new building commissioner around the zoning recodification. So I think this is something that we could add to that meeting. So I will work to schedule that. So on the motion of Vice President Bears, seconded by Councilor Scarpelli, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears,
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo,
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Sang,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes.
Madam President, motion to suspend the rules to take public participation.
On the motion of Councilor Knight to suspend the rules, to take public participation,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Carviallo. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Give me a quick second, please. To suspend for public participation, Vice President Bears,
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo,
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight,
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Sang,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. The rules are suspended to take public participation. We do not have anyone already on the agenda for public participation. So if there's anyone who would like to speak for public participation, please raise your hand and I will unmute you. Going to
Madam
Nicole,
Oh, sorry.
Councilor Knight, go ahead.
Madam President, the only reason that I brought the motion forward was because I noticed that we had an inordinate number of people on the call. And after looking at what was left on the agenda, I don't think that they were too concerned about fiber optics funding from our APA program. So that's why I just wanted to make sure that in the interest of time, that these people have taken time away from their family to be here, that they have the opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Councilor Knight. Apologies to any fiber optic fans. We will get to you soon. Going to Nicole Brandley, name and address for the record, please, and I will unmute you.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Brandley. I need to omit my address due to ongoing. Share that for you privately if needed.
Yep.
I want to thank you all for joining tonight. And if anybody else is upset about fiber optics, I apologize. Good evening, first of all, to everybody. Thank you very much for this time. I'm here to speak tonight regarding an incident that happened at Medford High School with my daughter. In June, my daughter began to be harassed, bullied, and threatened by a female student. Come September, the bully's sister also became an aggressor. After multiple school incident reports, the behavior became so disturbing that a police report needed to be written. These students were
Madam President, if I can, Nicole, I hate to, we're having trouble hearing you. Is there any way we can raise the volume?
Yeah, you're a little soft.
sorry, I'm pretty much the loudest person I know, so
I know that. I know it's an important message, so I don't want anybody to miss it.
Can you hear me better now? Awesome.
Please continue. Yeah.
So on October 17th at Medford High School, our daughter was beaten so badly that she suffered a concussion, among other injuries. She underwent 7 hours of observation at the hospital and tests. We have since needed to obtain a harassment prevention order. We have pressed charges of assault and battery on both of my daughter's attackers. On Tuesday night at Fenway Park, where we had hoped to enjoy a fun family night with our beloved community, the attackers violated the harassment prevention order. It took 6 Boston police officers to hold these students back from our daughter. 6 police officers and their parents had to hold these 2 teenage sisters back so they wouldn't hurt our daughter. Who will be able to hold these students back if they return to Medford High School? No one. And no one will be safe, not one teacher, not one student, and certainly not our daughter. To say this has been a nightmare of epic proportions for our family. I come here tonight to ask each and every one of you for your help. I'm a mom who can leave no stone unturned in protecting my child. Being here tonight, I can now say every elected official in this city has heard our story from me. I've spoken publicly at the school committee meeting. I've spoken to our mayor. I've communicated with our state representatives. I've communicated to the news, to DCF, to DESE. I have had our story shared hundreds of times on social media. And I have spent countless hours trying to communicate with Medford High School. What happened to our daughter opened my eyes to a much larger problem at Medford High School, one of rules not being followed, and I'm seeing that starting with our administration. Multiple times, my daughter's attackers were wandering the halls, searching her out to threaten her life in a class that she belonged to, not them. Not one school administrator called us when this all began. Incident reports were written, and I never got a phone call. I never got an email. At one point, I had to go to the school where I came to learn the administration was unable to locate these bullies who had tried to enter yet another one of my daughter's classes. They could not find these girls on the Medford High School campus. And they asked me to dismiss my daughter for her safety. I wonder all the time what would happen if she wasn't as communicative to me. What if she didn't text me during those times? What would have happened? I've learned from many sources that cutting classes and hiding in bathrooms is a regular occurrence at Medford High for students. It's not always followed up by our administration for consequences. No doubt they are overwhelmed, but I refuse to make excuses for the adults who have a job to do to ensure all of our children's safety. We all own a part in this, each of you, our city officials, school staff, and parents. We need to show our students that there are consequences for their actions. There's nothing more I want than to work with the superintendent and her administration to ensure our daughter's safety. Although we have had some communication in one meeting, unfortunately, I've had multiple emails not returned. I've requested paperwork that had a 10-day deadline, not by me, but by law, and it was not received. I've been given dates by Medford High School admin of when the paperwork would be ready, and yet these dates have also passed. I've been told one of my daughter's attackers was removed from a class when she was not. I have been told that they were suspended indefinitely at one point. They were not. I was assured they never crossed paths. They did. I was assured they never enter CAF 2, which is exactly where they entered the day that they attacked my daughter. No school administration even thought to reach out to the other family, knowing that their child was on the football team on Tuesday night. And there, yet again, they tried to attack my daughter. It's negligent. Disregarding the rules is starting at the top of our school chain. So no wonder some students are not following the rules. School administration must be the leader. They must set a better example. I hope the example that I'm setting for my daughter is a good one, to always stand up for what is right. And I also hope you will stand with me. I'm willing to help in any way, any solution that I can. I'm open to every suggestion on how to help. I want to work with our city officials, the school, our teachers. They are so talented, they are beloved, and they deserve to have every child be able to thrive in front of them. What is allowed in our schools sets the standard in our community. And I appreciate you listening to me. I thank you for your time. And I would appreciate any solutions that you may have for me going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Branley. Any discussion, comments from the council at this point? Go to Councilor Carviallo and then Councilor Scarpelli.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Nicole, for coming forward and having the courage to stand up here and say what you said to all these people. And like I say, I have a granddaughter that goes there, and same age as I think as your daughter, and she tells me stories of things that happened there. And I say, I don't know what to tell you. I wish I had some advice for you. I've reached out to you to try any help I can be to you. But I say that this is not how children should have to go to school in the city of Medford. Kids shouldn't be afraid. They shouldn't be hiding in bathrooms. They should be there to learn, not learn how to fight, but learning basic things. And again, I say I commend you for your courage and the battle that you're waging. And I hope that the school department at some point stands up and does the right thing for your daughter instead of standing up for the people that they shouldn't be standing up for. We shouldn't be standing up for the people that are the attackers. So again, I thank you for your courage of standing up here tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Carviallo. Councilor Scarpelli.
Thank you, Madam President. And again, thank you, Mrs. Branley. I think that it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing. It's easy just to keep your mouth shut and walk away and hope things are going to be okay. But I know I've talked to you personally. I think we all share situations about children being bullied, mine as well. As a city councilor, we have a school committee and a mayor who's the president of that committee that are in charge of making sure that they follow through these issues. So as a city councilor, it's very difficult to cross over. So I'll leave that with that. I know that you had without getting that information, you had some interest to talk to the city solicitor. I know we talked about that. Unfortunately, I informed you that we don't have a city solicitor because you were asking who you can speak to. So that I apologize for on our end. But I'm going to speak right now as a parent of a Medford High School student, someone that has had their kids go through the system from preschool all the way through high school. As a member of a teacher in the system and a member of the school committee that did everything in my power to make sure that we put in strongholds to make sure that our kids are protected, putting in bullying protection programs, setting up mentoring programs, making sure the kids that don't want to be in the school and that are harming our children every single day, that they're the ones that are being looked at. And those are the ones that are being being taken to task. And unfortunately, what we hear over and over again, especially with this story with the Brantley family, it seems like that's not the priority right now. I told you in a meeting months ago when this happened, we're still seeing the children that can't go to the bathroom because the bad kids or the kids that don't care are using those bathrooms and bullying kids from not eating in cafeterias and finding little nooks and crannies to eat throughout the building. That's despicable. That's horrifying to me. And why? And why? The kids are telling me. They're telling me that the administration that's in the building's afraid to punish kids because the rules that put into place. Well, I think we need to revisit these rules and make sure that we hold a school committee and our mayor and the school administration, the superintendent, to task, that this is their job. And I'm not talking as a city councilor because I'm out of line if I was. I'm talking as a parent of a senior at Medford High School. And when I hear ridiculous comments like, geez, maybe this child should go to a private school. Maybe she should just leave. Are you kidding me? The Brantleys did nothing wrong. The kids that are bullied do nothing wrong. We should take a stance against the kids that don't want to be there, that are harmful to our kids. We need to take a stand. So as a parent, I'll do everything I can to make sure that my voice is heard as well, Nicole. This is horrific. I saw the video. It's disgusting. That is the parent. As a city council, I will tell you, we have no grounds. We truly have no grounds that this is, unless when it comes to this, the budget meeting, and we talk to the superintendent, because it seems like that's the only time we seem to see getting information. Because unfortunately, we found out as a council through the newspaper, through the TVs. I wasn't notified. And I'm sure most of my fellow councils weren't notified. So it's very difficult when we don't get information. We have to hear it from newspapers and stuff. That's frustrating in itself. But that's what I'm frustrated as a city councilor. As a parent of a child at Medford High School, I'm appalled that this is still going on. My daughter was there and watched the situation occur right in front of her. And she was horrified for this family. Horrified. And so were all their classmates. But you know what they're told to do? Keep their mouths shut, sit on their hands, and because they're afraid that they're the next people to be bullied. Well, that's not the way to live. I remember one person stood up and looked me right in the eye and said, say something, see something, say something. Well, we're seeing plenty, and we're doing nothing. So please, if there's anything that the school committee that's on tonight or the city administration that's going to hear this, please work with the school administration. Work with those great teachers, because that's the other thing. We went out and we heard that there was a study done. That's great that we did a study, but we wasted money, the city's money, on bringing someone in from the outside when we could have just asked the teachers, great teachers that know exactly what's going on and what we need to fix. No one's asked them that. Instead, I'm getting phone calls from teachers that they're afraid to stand up because they're wiping blood off their clothes, off their bodies, because they just broke up another fight. So, Nicole, again, I don't want to revert and take this away from your points that you made, but I tell you, as a parent, I'm standing with you, and I'll do whatever needs to be done as a parent to make sure that your child is safe. There's absolutely no reason why your daughter has to fear and put her head down at night, knowing that she has to get up in the morning to go to Medford High School. In no way in the world should you and your family think of trying to figure out how you can break the bank to try to figure out to move your daughter to a different school system just because this is happening. I condemn that. So I thank you, Madam President. And if what we can do is we can ask the city administration. I will tell you, Nicole, I do not support KP Law. We don't know what we're paying for this community in paying them. And I don't know what it would be a charge to this community. But right now I'm at the point where no charge right now would be too small, too large. We need to get assistance for this family. If she's not getting the information she needs by law of the timetable, then someone needs to assist her. And obviously when I talk to Nicole, She wanted to come here to see if anybody, and I explained to her that we don't have a city solicitor. No one really can answer you. So I know this is going to get back to the superintendent. I know that there are school commitments on this call. Please, somebody get Mrs. Brantley the information that she needs so her and her daughter and her family could rest every day. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. Councilor Knight.
Madam President, thank you very much. First of all, I've known Nicole and Rob for quite a bit of time now, and I'm very proud to call them my friends. And I'm very proud of Nicole for taking the action that she's taken and standing up and fighting for her family and not letting this get pushed under the rug. All right. It takes a lot for someone who's been so invested in this community for so many years to get up and to do what she's doing. And I know that the last thing that she wants to be and the last thing she wants her family to be is the center of attention, surrounded by such negative energy. So, Nicole, thank you. And through you to Rob and your daughter for putting up the fight. Because if you weren't going to talk about it, it was going to go away. And you're not letting it go away, and you shouldn't. Ultimately, there's been a systemic failure. The system's failed you, and it's not right. And it's not an isolated incident. All right. We hear the stories every day. The same mayor that chases down rumors, putting GPS trackers on city employees' cars, is the same mayor that's trying to control the narrative on this. What this administration should be doing is reaching out to this family to see what they can do to protect the family, not reaching out to the newspapers to see how they can control a narrative. I think it's shameful. I think it's absolutely shameful. When I sit back and I think to just a few years ago, when I mentioned it previously, we had a city councilor standing in the auditorium at Medford High School, screaming and yelling like a lunatic at the superintendent over a gun magazine that was found in a little theater after a private rental. I'm still waiting for that former city councilor, who's now our mayor, to have this conversation with her superintendent. Because I don't think it's happened. I haven't seen it. There are safety issues in our schools. There's no question about it. This is not an isolated incident. What happened to Nicole's daughter wasn't just kids being kids that got into a disagreement that ended up in a fist fight. It was a criminal attack, an organized criminal attack. And it's sickening. It's sad. It's sad to see that this woman can't get answers, that she can't send her daughter to school to receive an education and have the peace of mind that her child's going to be safe. Imagine sending your kid off every day, a nervous wreck. It's bad enough out there in the world without having to worry about things like this. And imagine sending your kid off to school every single day being a nervous wreck, wondering if today's going to be the day that you get another phone call. Consultants, meetings, consultants. We have a pretty well-paid administrative staff over in the school department. We have people that are making salaries over $200,000, but we need consultants. The focus should be on the student. The focus should be on the victim. Quite frankly, I think Mr. Greenspan should be involved in this. I think immediately after this occurred, Mr. Greenspan should have reached out to the family. He is this attorney for the school department. I don't understand why Mr. Greenspan hasn't sat down with the family yet. The superintendent should have been over at the house, visiting the family. They should have been at the hospital to make sure that she was okay. Those are the things that happen in a community where our leaders are vested. Imagine being a parent, and after this happens, you pick up the phone and you call the superintendent's office and they tell you that she's on vacation. Talk to me in a week. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's craziness. It's absolute craziness. Nicole, I stand with you, and I stand with the other families who have gone through this very same situation. And quite frankly, I have kids in the public school system too, and it hasn't been a pretty ride. My third grader has quite a bit of trouble at school. Seventh graders in the playground at the Brook School. The seventh graders have no business at the playground in the Brook School. Why are they there? What steps are we taking to make sure that our schools are safe? And why isn't the mayor acting with the same outrage that she acted with previously when a far less severe incident happened, when nobody got hurt? These are the questions that I ask myself every day. These are leadership issues. I'll walk through the fire with you. I will. I think this is terrible. And I think that there are some resources out there and there are some ideas for us to pursue. Like George said, you shouldn't be considering out of district placement. You shouldn't have to be forced to spend money to send your daughter to another school because you're not feeling safe. But maybe the city should do it. Maybe the city should send her to the charter school. Maybe the city should get her in there then. Maybe the city should take some affirmative steps to be sure that your tax dollars are being well spent and that your family's being protected. The number one role in government is to make sure that our community is safe. And we're failing it. And we're failing our most vulnerable citizens, our students. So for that, I'm sorry. And I look at this as a reflection and a failure of government, not just the administration, not just the school department, of government as a whole. And as Nicole said at the beginning, very astutely, we all have a part in it. I want to make it right.
Thank you, Councilor Knight. Any further discussion from the council? Seeing none, Ms. Burnley, thank you for coming out to speak. My heart breaks for you and your daughter, and mother to mother. I understand going to the ends of the earth for your child, and I just applaud your courage and your advocacy and just pushing forth on this. I'm as other councilors have said, we're limited in what we can do statutorily, but I think we're all want to be part of the solution the way we can. So thank you for coming out. Moving on, is there anyone else who would like to speak for public participation? Please raise your hand if you would like to speak. Seeing none at this time, do I have a motion to revert to the regular order of business?
So moved.
On the motion of Councillor Singh to revert to the regular order of business, seconded by
Seconded.
people can hear me, right? Councillor Collins, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears,
Yes.
Councilor Carviallo,
Yes.
Councilor Collins,
Yes.
Councilor Knight,
Yes.
Councilor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Councilor Singh,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes. Reverting to regular order of business. Communications from the mayor 22-583, November 16, 2022, to the Honorable President and members of the Medford City Council regarding the proposed ARPA projects in excess of $250,000. Dear President Morrell and members of the City Council, I respectfully request and recommend that your honorable body allow time for a presentation of the following 5 ARPA projects. Fire installation of a dedicated fiber optic network, estimated cost $200,000. Fire installation of an upgraded Zatron Max system, estimated cost $350,000. Technology, IT help desk, support services, estimated cost of $257,000. Technology, premium Microsoft Office /365 backup system, estimated cost $189,000. And parking meter upgrades for squares other than Medford Square, estimated cost of $393,000. Thank you for this kind attention to the matter. Sincerely, Brianna Longo-Kern. I do believe we will have, we don't have a central representative from the administration. We have different folks from these departments who will present on these papers. So I'm happy to turn it over to them. I see the chief, unless any councilors have questions before we get started. Seeing none, passing over to you, Chief Friedman. And I will unmute you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
We're-
here for the council tonight.
Sorry, I can hear myself. I don't know if other folks can hear me, if there's like that kind of bounce back. I don't know if other folks can hear me, if there's like that kind of bounce back.
I am also hearing it, President Morrell.
Are you watching on another, do you have another device open too, Chief Friedman, or are you just on your computer? I don't know why we're hearing like multiple times.
No, I just have one device.
Okay, it seems to have stopped. So please proceed. No, there it is. All right, I'll just be quiet. Please proceed.
I think this is proof why they need the fiber optics. I think this is proof they need the fiber optics.
Okay, so hopefully everyone can hear me. I'm the chief of the fire department. I'm here to speak on behalf of the 2 fire projects. The first one is the fiber optic network that is going to connect all the fire stations with headquarters. And the second one is the installation of an upgraded Ctron Max system, which kind of goes hand in hand with the fiber optics that will allow us to have more reliability and increase that so that we won't have any failures that we've been experiencing in the past. So both of these projects are, at a time where we hired the owner's project manager for headquarters, and we have selected an architectural firm, which allows us access to sub-consultants. And in effect, it's like, greater efficiency because we have them to assist us with this project. And it has the potential to give us that sort of a economy of scale, if you will, where instead of having 2 separate projects and separate consultants, we have access to them now. So this is a good time to look at these projects and fund them. So I'm here to entertain any questions that the council has, if they want more detail on the projects or any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any discussion or questions from the council? I do want to note, so at our ARPA meeting we had before the Thanksgiving holiday, we did have the question whether these papers were coming before us for appropriation approval. And the chief of staff essentially said this is kind of a courtesy or something that they just like to present on. So just noting for that consideration of the council that this is essentially just receiving a presentation, but not something the administration has deemed that they need our appropriation approval on. Any questions from the council? Seeing none, thank you so much, Chief. Much appreciated.
Madam President,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Councilor Scarpelli.
I know I'm breaking in and out. So we really, this doesn't matter on what we don't have a vote on this. Is that what I just heard? Is it?
That is essentially what the chief of staff told me, other counselors that were there, if they could confirm that if I misinterpreted that, but basically this is being presented to us as more of a, deemed as a courtesy to provide us more information. They would like us to be on board, but they don't think that they need an appropriation vote from us.
Okay, no, I think that this is important because I know when this first came out and there were departments that were left out, and Chief Friedman, Fire were one of the departments. So I'm glad to see that we're moving forward. This isn't something I would vote against, but there are some concerns. I know that I know there's some IT issues that are coming up, and we don't have an IT department, so I don't know what we're doing to get that into place, and then some other concerns that I have with the recommendation. So if I take it again, it really doesn't matter. So, but hey, thanks for the input. Appreciate that. Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. Councilor Collins.
Thank you, President Morrell. Just since you asked for confirmation, I just wanted to offer mine. What I heard from the chief of staff at our meeting was that I believe that they said they were looking for feedback, an opportunity for feedback from the city council on these projects, but that the executive office has full jurisdiction to go ahead with the appropriations and that they do not need our vote to complete them.
Thank you, Councilor Collins.
So is the dog and pony still over?
Sorry, Councilor Knight, did you want to go?
I was just wondering if the dog and pony show was over now, or if we're good to go.
We do have a few more items of this
Okay.
agenda.
Right.
Vice President Bears.
Thank you, Madam President. And I believe the reason this did end up on the agenda is we received emails about these projects asking for our support for them. I was unclear as to what that entailed and kind of responded asking whether that was asking if we were going to approve these projects for appropriation or otherwise have some sort of feedback. So I think that's how they ended up on the agenda. And I believe where we left the last meeting was that the chief of staff would report back to us, but that if we, say voted these down, they may move forward with the projects anyway. And one of the reasons that I have some not necessarily concerns about the substance, but concerns about process and future process actually pertains to the next two items, the technology items for IT, help desk support, and premium Microsoft Office 365, the backup system. Both of these seem like helpful services for the city to have, but compared to the other three items in this paper, those seem to be payments for contracted services versus payments for one-time capital costs. And I'm just wondering if there has been discussion about how this additional $450,000 in services are going to be paid for after ARPA funding expires at the end of the 24-month period mentioned in the document.
Thank you, Vice President Bears. I do see Jim Silva on the call, who I believe can speak to this. Jim, if you could give name and address for the record and also just let us know in what capacity you're working with this city.
Yes, hi, good evening. I'm Jim Silva, Special Project Coordinator for the Office of Mayor Longo Kern. I am also a small business owner. I have a technology and support business. Part of my journey in being part-time for Mayor Longo Kern is one of my projects is IT. I have stepped into the IT support role. What both of these ARPA requests are about are the possibility to work, have a help desk support system in place, which we have established that allows support services for between 70 and 100 calls on a monthly basis. What we're hopeful to do, this project being, is having the support services in place so when a director of IT and staff comes into place, they can focus in on issues that need to be addressed that might have been put aside the last couple of years because of the pandemic. Specifically, we have servers, we have some other equipment that are going to be sunsetted within the next year. We also have an opportunity to work with stakeholders in City Hall to mitigate some of their needs to upgrade product, to update process. Some of our legacy products are no longer supported. So this gives us an opportunity of 2 years of support so our director and staff can focus on upgrading and developing and keeping it in a secure environment. The positive part about this is it also provides 24-hour monitoring during that 2-year period. This will give us a much better opportunity to look at budgeting needs, seeing what is important, what needs to be addressed, and giving our stakeholders, which are folks in City Hall, DPW, the opportunity to work in developing that process. So this is sort of a stopgap measure, something that needs to be put into place, something that we see as an opportunity to bring us much further forward. Part of the Office 365 allows us to look into the governance, the opportunity to take information out as laws change, and it's a much more robust product than we currently have. So again, this gives us an opportunity to grow, to have a more secure environment, and give us the resources to do that. Part of this support services, it provides us with engineering staff that we don't currently have. It provides us with 26 different additional people that can support people in City Hall. And what we've seen, and as well as DPW, what we've seen turnaround times being a couple of hours, a couple of days versus weeks oftentimes. So meeting those obligations are important. And it will give the IT director, whoever in the future that may be, the opportunity to work in improving that process and improving, again, the infrastructure at the city.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Any questions, discussion from the council?
Madam President,
Vice President Bears.
do we have Director Dickinson with us still?
I do not see him.
Okay, and Jim, I'll ask you, and it may be out of your wheelhouse, so I totally understand that. It sounds like the intent is that the IT help desk support services may be temporary, but my understanding of the Microsoft 365 product is that you're paying a monthly or an annual subscription fee. Is the intent that that would continue after the 24-month period?
That's correct. Currently, you're basically buying a licensing services. So those licensing services will be built into the budget. I think this is an opportunity again to have the IT director sort of look at the budgets, see what the long-term goals are. Our infrastructure needs to be improved upon. Our communication in the building, for instance, needs to be upgraded. All of those need to have focus and uninterrupted focus as well. So having a help desk service will provide that focus that's needed for the folks that are internal to the city of Medford.
Thanks. Yeah, and I appreciate that. It's just, whenever I see an ongoing expense being funded with one-time funds, it just goes back to the discussions we were having in the budget around, it's essentially we're just adding to the structural deficit. And I have no question that the services are needed. I think we've all experienced the IT deficiencies of Medford. So it's just that long-term concern about making sure that in 24 months, this doesn't fall away.
Exactly. And I'm hopeful that this will give those folks an opportunity to have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, to work in developing a budget that would allow that sort of sunsetting equipment, putting things out that no longer will work, improving upon process. I mean, the ultimate goal is to support community and support the infrastructure of the community. So we're hopeful that this is where we're going with this process.
Thanks.
Step in that direction.
Thank you. I do have a motion, but I'll wait until my fellow councilors have had a chance to speak.
Thank you, Vice President Bears. Councilor Scarpelli.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Mr. Silva. I didn't realize that was your capacity to work with IT, and I'm glad to see that we're using your expertise. But again, this is what I was asking to. Same thing to the same grounds as Councilor Bears. I know that you said that we can add this to our budget, Mr. Silva. This is the problem, my friend. We don't know what the budget is. So I understand that we have this ARPA money right now for these jobs. And when you look at what we're looking with the fire department, and as much as I don't like the traffic and parking, you're talking about something tangible that's going to be fixed. When we're looking at our IT department, this will support something right now, but if we don't have enough staff, we don't have a budget that'll withstand the concerns that I'm seeing, or what the mayor had mentioned last year during the budget season, that that we're going to be looking at some dire situations. Again, is this right now putting money into something that, as much as we need it, and I agree with you, we do need it, but again, is it going to be putting it to something that then we can't man, that don't have the funding to staff, and not having someone at the other end to answer at that IT desk for that support? I mean, and we just haven't seen anything. I've been saying this at every meeting. Until we have an understanding of what our budget looks like, this is what I'm afraid of. It's like, I was the same type of situation. We talked about the 311, unveiling years ago, that we said, and I said it myself, I said, how do we have a 311 system? We don't have the infrastructure in place to support that. So this is what, and I'm afraid that this is our 311 system all over again, because we're starting to put money into situations and different processes that we don't know budgetarily if we can even support that in the next budget cycle. So this is what I'm fearful of. So just thank you for my to listening to my concerns. But that's what it is. So thank you.
If I could add to that, to your question, actually, we do have communication budget that's in force and in place. And this is a little bit more on an annual basis than we currently spend. So it's sort of an upgrade to what we have. We have additional staffing needs, and we are looking at a full office preview, what we're proposing here. So the money is already there. It's a little additional funding. When I say a little, it's a couple of $1,000s in every 6-month period. So it's within the budget that we currently have. We just have a much more robust product that allows us to actually have the opportunity of controlling communication, controlling who has access. When somebody leaves or somebody comes, we have those resources to provide them with that information.
No, I understand. I thank you for the knowledge that you're sharing. I just, like I said, I'm just, what was left in June was the comment that was resonating that it's going to be so bad. Is it going to be so bad that the mayor says we need to take this money out of the communication line to support fire, police? That's what I'm fearful of. So, but thank you for your input. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. Any further discussion on the IT papers or the IT requests we're looking at? Thank you, Mr. Silva. And then we do have a request regarding parking and parking meters. I don't know if we have anyone from the parking department here to speak on this. Mr. Clerk, do you know if anyone from the parking department was going to join? I can check my.
I know that the parking director reached out and got another copy of the agenda today, so she would be able to speak tonight. I think I saw her on here earlier, but I don't see her on here right now. I'm just looking.
Okay, thank you.
I would recommend the table if there isn't a representative, Madam President. Her report.
Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. I do see Chief Friedman with your hand up once more. Please go ahead.
I just wanted to speak a little bit more about this request. I mean, this is something that is sorely needed in the fire department. This communication is something that we've been trying to get for years. It's one of my goals when I took over the chief to bring us into the technology era. And but I want to speak a little bit about the.
You're coming through, Chief. You're coming through a little warbled. I don't know. And maybe if you want to turn your video off, sometimes that helps.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe if you want to turn your video off, sometimes that helps.
All right, let me do that. All right, how's that? Any better?
A little bit better. A little bit better.
Okay, so what happens right now if we have a computer that, for example, fails, and we have a bunch of data in that computer is lost, that data. And this system, it's a backup system. So like, even if that computer, the hardware failed for whatever reason, this backup system will be able to recover it. And I can tell you, being on the fire department for 28 years, that has happened to me before, where I worked in other positions and a computer will fail. We will get a power surge or something causes a failure, and you have to recreate all that data. And sometimes it's very difficult, time consuming. And so this stuff all ties in with the network. When we put the network in, we'll be able to back everything up, and it'll prevent that type of failure from happening in the future. So I just wanted to get that out there, that this is not something that like an extra thing we're putting in. This is something that's sorely needed to increase our reliability and prevent us from having these failures.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Going to Councilor Carviallo. Hope you just muted
Thank you,
yourself.
Madam
There you
President.
go.
I'm sorry. My question is on the parking. Is this the second time we funded the parking departments? If I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Jim, can you speak to that? I see you.
First of all,
Faye can't.
they
you
can't
just took.
be unmuted. So
Okay.
she can answer
Apologies.
your question. Yep, she's on.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Thank you.
I just lost. Oh, there's, okay. Apologies, Faye. Parking Director Morrison, we'll go to you if you want to briefly speak to this paper, and then Councilor Carviallo, we can go back to your question.
Thank you, Madam President.
Good evening, President Morrell. This is, well, I don't know if I would call it the second time. I submitted in June, replacing all of the city. The decision was made by the ARPA committee to just do Medford Square. So now they want to do the other squares as well. And that's why we're before you tonight, to get that additional funding to do the additional locations.
Thank you, Director Morrison. Councilor Carviallo?
Hold on. Thank you, Madam President. No, my question is that, we're up over $500,000 in funding for from ARPA. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Okay. And so,
but understand, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Councilor Carviallo, but understand that, and I feel like I'm coming behind Jim, who had better lines on this than myself. You know, you're up against equipment that is almost a decade old, that is failing and getting complaints every day, that had no upkeep, and we need to do, you have to do something in order to provide service to the community, or else we're just frustrating them and causing them, you know, to have issues when they're trying to park in our city. So this is not, you know, asking because, you know, we know the money's there. The need is there, and that's why we're here. Again, wanting to finish the rest of the village centers, the squares, so that every business out there that it can have the same benefit that I'm hearing that Medford Square businesses are having by having accurate enforcement with those meters. So that's why we're back today trying to get the job finished.
So do we call this a benefit to the business community?
I absolutely have seen the benefit of it from the response that I've received, especially on the censored meeting. You have a lot of timed parking in your squares, and to have a meter that's able to properly censor that and keep those free and open to the businesses and being used properly, that's the feedback that I'm getting. And, you know, I knew that once those businesses were happy with it, I knew that the other centers would want the same thing. And so we're just trying to make sure that we are serving all of the businesses fairly and equally, and not just favoring one over any other. And so that's our only intent, to try to bring this upgraded system that I absolutely feel has been a benefit, because that's the feedback that I'm getting from the chamber and from the businesses in Medford Square.
Okay, my other question. So, we're going to be doing West Medford Square, correct?
We would be doing any additional square that's left that has kiosks in it right now. We would be putting in the poles, just as we did in Medford Square, and then installing the meter heads and then removing the old meters. So the exact same process would happen with every additional square that is identified as this by the city as a business square to do.
So, okay, so my question is, how far outside of these squares are we going to be going? Are we going to do like we did in Square, all the way down to the church, and we still have this on Boynton Road?
The mayor has the map.
I have the floor right now.
Director Morrison,
Okay.
I apologize if you could just let Councilor.
I'm sorry,
Carviallo finish.
I'm having a hard time hearing, but okay, I'm sorry. I just thought I heard a question.
So how far?
My
how far
apologies.
Business districts are we going to go with these meters? Are we going to do like we did to the square and go down to the church and the schools? We still have meters on Boynton Road, which Boynton Road is not in the business district of Medford.
Boynton Road is actually, those are sensors, not meters, not paid meters. And there is times park.
Councilor Carviallo, if you could let Director Morrison finish.
Those are what we call sensor head meters. They are not paid meters. And there has always been an hour limit of parking there. So all those sensors are doing is monitoring the same hour parking there that our parking control specialists have been doing all along. It just makes their job easier that they have a device there that actually meters when someone pulls in and parks in that space. And then we have accurate information so that we're not ticketing too soon.
So,
But then
so
make
with,
sure
so
we
with,
keep
with
the
ticketing on
spaces-
residential streets.
Can I finish,
If you could please
please?
let her finish, Councilor Carviallo.
So that we can make sure that we keep those spaces open as they were intended by the ordinance that we have in place, which is 1 hour parking on those spaces on Boynton Road.
Okay. So my question
And to answer your other question about how far we're going to go, maps have been submitted to the executive office, and that will be a decision that they will make moving forward.
So my question is, when did Boynton Road become a business district to get parking meters? So you're saying that no one gets tickets there?
As I said, they're not parking meters, they are sensors.
So,
And
so you're not giving any tickets
on
there?
that
You're
end
telling
of,
me.
Yeah,
can I
Councilor Carviallo,
finish?
please.
On that end of Boynton Road, we have an hour limit on parking. So we are not exceeding our mandate there in that area. We are just enforcing the ordinance that's on the books, which is an hour of parking in that area. As I've said already twice, those are not parking meters. They may look like meters, but they are actually just timed sensors.
So you're saying to me that if I park at that meter for 2 hours, I will not get a ticket?
No, you will get a ticket because
And
the
they're
only
parking meters.
time you're allowed to park in that area is 1 hour, I believe, sir.
My
Director
question is
Moore,
again, when did Boynton
Yes,
Road
President
become part of the
Morrell.
business district?
thank you, Councilor Carviallo. Director Morrison, I think the question I'm trying to understand is you're saying that these meters you do not have to pay for. They are simply tracking how long someone's parked in a spot, correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
Thank you. Going to, does that address your questions, Councilor Carviallo?
No, but it doesn't make any difference anyways.
Thank you. Going to Councilor Collins, and then we'll go back to Mr. Silva.
Thank you, President Morrell. And thank you to Chief Friedman, Director Morrison, and I want to say Project Manager Jim Silva. I apologize if I get your title or your role wrong, but it's great to see you working in the City Hall in any capacity. I definitely, as one counselor, I definitely appreciate the clarity and the context around these funding requests. Now that we've heard a little bit about each of them, I would be happy to make a motion to approve them all, or frankly, to just receive and place on file. The Chief of Staff made it clear that our votes of approval on these appropriations were not necessary for funding. So I'm not sure if there is a procedural difference. But, I think that this is, in a best case scenario, this could be a forum for meaningful feedback on the work of these departments. I don't know that we've really seen that play out in our ARPA allocation process so far, which, I think is a part of the allocation process where there's a bit of potential that I hope we can see used a little bit better as we continue to go on and continue to spend down our disbursement. I would like for the community to have meaningful input. I would like for this council to have meaningful input. That's not to say that there's anything I'd really like to critique about the projects before us right now. These are projects that are being advocated for by these city department heads. It's not up to us how ARPA is spent. And so for the purposes of this meeting, that's good enough for me. I think that there's a forum for getting more information about each of these projects in particular. But frankly, I'm not sure that this is it. I think that the administration wants to let it be known, some of these big buckets that some of our ARPA money is going to be, is considered being committed towards at this point. Message heard loud and clear. I think that's good. That's a good start of getting, a bit more on the ball in terms of where those big tracts of our ARPA spending is going. I hope that we can continue to have that level of back and forth and that we can continue to have meaningful input going forward. But as for now, I think that
continuing to have that broad stroke kind of conversation is great. And then if there's nitty gritty on implementation, I'd like to have that in a more dedicated setting, so that counselors as well as department heads can be fully equipped to have those kinds of conversations. So with that, I would motion for approval on these 5 appropriations. And I apologize if my words are a little garbled tonight. I'm on day 4 of COVID right now, so not speaking that well, but thank you for letting me have the floor.
Thank you, Councilor Collins. So just to follow up to your motion, the communications from the mayor just state that they're requesting and recommending to allow time for a presentation. So
great. Then I would motion to receive and place on file if that is the case. But I'm open to amendment if other councilors feel differently.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Collins. I'm gonna go. Okay, we got a second by Councilor Singh. I'm gonna go to Mr. Silvers, had his hand up for a while. Then I'll go to Vice President Bears. Going back to you, Jim. I'll unmute you.
Thank you. I just want to state that this is an opportunity, again, to change the infrastructure. The infrastructure in our community, in our city, has not been kept up to a standard that's necessary to run a process. So this was a funding opportunity to actually make some changes, some permanent changes, some long-term changes that will support the folks in City Hall as well as most of the community. So again, I just want to mention that. And a lot of our calls that are help desk calls that are currently being supported are infrastructure issues. So a lot of the support process will sort of diminish as we're able to improve upon that.
Thank you, Jim. Going to Vice President Bears.
Thank you, Madam President. One question, Jim. For the help desk services, you were saying it's for about 70 to 100 help desk requests per month. Was there any consideration of just creating a help desk support staff person in-house who could handle that? It sounds like a reasonable workload for a single staff member.
Thank you. So the answer to your question is with the funding that we have for employment, it's 70 to 100 calls it's a matter of answering a call, but it's also a matter of finding out what the problem is and actually mitigating that process. That is a full-time job it could be 1 hour worth of work to maybe research, development, all of that process to change something. So the answer to your question is by having a help desk support, as we're outsourcing to a certain degree, they're doing the support. We have 26 people on staff versus 1. So this is sort of an engineering staff as well. So if there's something that is really imperative that needs to be worked on to develop or to infrastructure changes that's outside of your skill set, we have that resource in this capacity. So it's really important to consider that as an opportunity to having 26 people for 2 years, which is a game changer. And I think people at City Hall and DPW have seen those changes and have participated in this opportunity to actually, submit a request and within a matter of hours be able to have that looked at, resolved. And again, we meet on a weekly basis, so we have an opportunity to see where our problems exist. I don't think you have that luxury with 1 or 2 people. It's impossible. So this is a good opportunity, I think, and a good opportunity to improve upon infrastructure, which will not be such a focus potentially in the future, and we won't need 26 people anymore. It could be much more manageable. I hope that answers your question.
No, that's helpful. I definitely hear where you're coming from on it. I would just also, Madam President, propose a B paper that we formally request that the city administration provide a response to whether or not the city council will be approving ARPA appropriations in excess of $250,000 for appropriation.
Thank you, Vice President Bears. Going, I think, to
Madam
Councilor
Pres-
Scarpelli. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that. I appreciate Jim, giving us the information that we needed with that, but I just wanted to direct this to Chief Friedman. It's not that I don't think that this is an important endeavor that Jim has presented. I understand that data. What I'm concerned in is not understanding our budget and how the longevity, the sustainability for whatever we're using our ARPA funding for can be sustained. I would hate to be sitting in budget season, you sitting across from us and saying we're talking about closing, a fire station, God forbid, or losing firemen and women because we don't have in our budget. We don't know what the ramifications are in our budget. So it's not that I don't think that this isn't a great idea, because I think this is an amazing idea. I think this is exactly where you should be, in a community that can handle the sustainability, where we don't know where we are financially. So I just want the chief to know that. I know that he jumped in and wanted to defend this amazing process. I agree with him. But again, without us seeing the budget numbers, without seeing our finances right now, without understanding where we're going, anything that's not sustainable, that has to be sustained, through our general budget, I think it lends to fear in my eyes. Because if this was the case, why aren't we funding, the teachers' raises with it then? Why are we securing, these are the concerns that we have, that everybody has, that we don't have the funding to sustain this after the ARPA's gone. So that it's just the same question, just in a different area. So I just want people to understand that I agree with Mr. Silver. I think it's something that it sounds great. And most functioning communities have unbelievable ID departments like he's talking about, that have a help desk that all we have to do is send a request to. So it's beneficial, absolutely. But again, my fear, I'm going to say this all the way until the budget season, because we still have yet to see anything dealing with our finances. And in my own home, my father taught me, you can't spend what you don't have. That's why we have a checkbook, that we follow the guidance. In today's world, we have online banking, so we can follow that every single day. I'm not going to cut a check for $2,000 if I only have $1,500 in the account, everybody. This is what we don't have. These are the basic understandings of finances that we don't have right now. We can't see. So again, I know I'm winded, but I just wanted Chief Friedman to understand that that's where I was coming with that comment. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. Going back to Councilor Collins, then Vice President Bears.
Oh, thank you. I'll defer to Councilor Bears because he spoke less recently than me.
Vice President Bears? Or Vice President Bears has stepped away and left. Oh, there you go.
No, we just have the motion to receive and place on file in the B paper, correct?
Yes, you had your hand up still.
Sorry, that's accidental.
Okay, so we'll get back to that. I see if you, all right, thank you for people for lowering your hands. I'm going to go to Chief Friedman and then back to you, Councilor Collins.
Great.
There you go.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to just add this one little tidbit in here that this network that we're talking about installing has a potential to allow cost savings within my budget if I can shrug off some of the currently what we do is we pay to go over the internet and go over different phone lines, and if we put this network in, and I'm not going to say all of it because I like to maintain, the fire department likes to maintain some redundancy. So in the event something does go down, we won't be able to get rid of all of it, but I think it has a potential to save some money in the operating budget. If we get this installed, I can get rid of some of those bills. So over the long term, it's going to save money. Even though it's a lot of money up front, the bills that I pay within my operating budget to currently communicate the way we are now is very expensive.
The point of Madam President.
Councilor Scarpelli.
Chief, that's exactly what I'm saying, though. You're saying that you can see savings. We can't, because we don't have
a budget. We don't have finance paper. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you can see that in your budget as a city councilor. We don't know. We don't have any information budget wise, financial wise. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Okay, I understand that part. I just wanted to make you aware of that potential cost savings. The other thing is the reliability go way up. So it's something that absolutely, should have been done a long time ago. And just look at the cost of it. I can see why. And this ARPA fund is exactly, this particular project fits this ARPA fund model exactly for what it's being requested for. It's to get us to hook up our communication, get that last mile of network installed so that we can actually communicate properly and reliably. But I don't to speak to your stuff on the budget. Like I said, I know some of those. I understand your concerns there, but I just want to let you know that as far as what I'm looking at on my end, it's something that's sorely needed. It's something that could greatly increase the reliability, and it has a potential for cost savings for the city if I can shrug off some of these other bills, which
Again,
long
Chief,
term.
I've supported everything that when it comes to fire department, especially communication, because we realize how we were in the dinosaur age, and I completely understand that. And I agree with you. I support this 1,000%. All I'm saying is my fear is without knowing the finances, guys. That's all really I'm saying. I don't disagree with you. I think it's something our firemen women need for their safety. I agree with you 1,000%.
Understood.
Thank you, Chief. And Councilor Scarpelli. Going to Councilor Collins.
Thank you, President Merle. Yeah, to echo Councilor Scarpelli's words of support and other councilors' words of support, just to emphasize, as I didn't earlier, I have no, even if we were voting for approval, even if approval were up to us, I would have no hesitation voting for approval for any of these suggested expenditures. Heard loud and clear the benefits to our city, our community, to our various departments, the projects that these expenditures will fund. I don't want to detract from that note of support just because this conversation also brings in sort of the broader threads of ARPA funding in general and how that relates to the overall budget and how that relates to the structural deficit. I think the point that I'm trying to make through what I've said is that I think with conversations like this about with individual department heads, about individual departments, about individual expenditures, often they become about the operating budget. They become about the structural deficit. They become about the communication that we receive about the budget with city staffers who, frankly, I don't think it's fair for us to expect to answer to those questions because we're not getting that communication elsewhere in predictable and routine ways from our central administration. I'm always glad for the chance to talk about those things with our department heads and our project leaders, but at the same time, that's not the forum that I want for these conversations. So, I think we can say at the same time, we're concerned about one-time funding being used to fund projects that will then, in a couple of years, need another funding source because maybe somebody knows, but I don't happen to know where that funding will come from. We can say that, and at the same time, we can say, I personally, as one counselor, I'm glad that these projects will be funded. They will be funded because it's up to this administration, and the administration, by virtue of the fact that these department heads are here today, they're planning on funding them. So I just wanted to make that very clear. I think there's kind of two levels to this conversation. They're parallel, but these broader concerns, in my understanding, don't take away from the fact that these projects are going to get funded unless, the executive office changes its mind. And personally, I'm happy about that. So just to clarify that, and with that, I would move the question.
Thank you, Councilor Collins. So on the motion of Councilor Collins to receive and place on file, we also have a B paper that we can take first from Vice President Bears to request a response from the administration as to whether the council will be requesting approval from the council on appropriation over $250,000. Do you have language you want to read back, Mr. Clerk, on that?
That's how I had it.
Okay, great. So on the B paper from Vice President Bear, seconded by Counselor Singh. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay. And Counselor Scarpelli just informed me that he was having some technical issues. His phone was dying and he was also losing the Zoom link. So I just need to, so he may not be present for this vote.
Okay.
All right. Roll call. Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Counselor Caraviello.
Yes. Yes.
Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight.
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli, if you're still here.
Still hanging in. Thanks.
Excellent.
Yes.
Counselor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The motion passes. On the main motion to receive and place on file from Counselor Collins, seconded by Counselor Singh. If you could please call the roll, Mr. Clerk.
Why?
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Counselor Caraviello.
Yes.
Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight.
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Counselor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The motion passes. And we have reached the end of our agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
On the motion of Counselor Collins to adjourn, seconded by
Madam President, I do believe Sergeant McGilvery was with us at one point in time, and he did want to participate during public participation, but he's having some technical difficulties raising his hand if he's still on the call.
I do not see him on the call. I don't see him in the waiting room. I don't see anyone in the waiting room either. We do have a meeting again next week. We will be back in person. So thank you, Counselor Knight. So on the motion of Counselor Collins to adjourn, seconded by
me.
Second.
Counselor Knight. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Counselor Caraviello.
Yes.
Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight.
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Counselor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.